I'm Jeanette Pincus, and today is Wednesday, April 23rd, 2025, and I have the pleasure of interviewing Shirley Gardner, who's going to share her story with us. So, Shirley, thank you so much for coming in and doing this with
My
us.
pleasure.
The first thing I'd like to start with is for you to tell me a little bit about your family, parents, where you were born, and things like that.
Okay. My parents were from Poland. My mother lived in a city, I don't recall the name. My dad lived in an orchard. They didn't know each other. But my father had a brother that came to Kansas City and had a bakery. And my mother's father was a shoemaker, shoe repair. And they met in Kansas City. They lost their families in the Holocaust. My mother lost a sister and her family, and my father had a sister that he lost and his parents. But they met in Kansas City, and they married, and they lived in Kansas City. My uncle, as I said, had a bakery, and it was a deli, and he was a baker. So my father went to work for him, and he made the bread. But one day, he put too much salt in the rye bread, and he quit. And he went to vocational school and learned that he could sew on a sewing machine. And they had one child in Kansas City, my oldest sister. But my father knew a little bit about Dallas, Texas, and how it was becoming a big city. And he got a job, and they moved like a pioneer to Dallas. My mother spoke very little English. My father spoke a broken English. But they settled on Forest Avenue in South Dallas, and he went to work for a company called Sam Disterback, who had like a dry goods store. And he worked there as a salesman, and they sold uniforms, and everybody came in and asked for emblems to be put on their uniforms, and they had them made, and my father decided he could make those emblems. It's a long story, but he quit Disterback and he went into manufacturing emblems. And in 1939, he went to the New York Fair and bought his first sewing machine, which wasn't a sewing machine, it was a yard long, and they manufactured emblems. My mother was Orthodox. My father was conservative, but he went to the Orthodox. We went to a good Asakum shul on Forest Avenue. We walked there. My mother was very religious, and her father, my Sadie, was very religious, and they lived across the street from us. We moved to Peabody, and I was born on Peabody with my other sister. And anyhow, in 1939, he went and bought this machine at the New York Fair and opened his own business and made embroidered emblems. He made them during the war, any kind of service emblems for the Army, and he would bring it home, and we would cut the threads off them so that he could cut them, and it was amazing, it really was. And we made all kinds of emblems, but his pride was that we made the Apollo emblems, and one of them is on the moon.
Wow.
And from an immigrant from Poland who came with nothing and worked so hard, achieved an accomplishment that people that were immigrants worked hard to succeed. And I'm so proud of him. I was brought up in an Orthodox family, and we went to Sheriff Israel. I was confirmed there. I was married there. My children were bar and bat mitzvahed there, and they also were married there. I have a long history with the Jewish religion and with Sheriff Israel. It's my home. And what else can I tell you?
Just in case we didn't say, what were your parents' names?
My mother's name was Katie Pasternak. My father was Jacob Pasternak. And he was really a big giver at the shul and helped build Shereth Israel. He died from a surgery. He died when he was 61. And my mother lived a long life. She lived until 81 and she had a heart attack. So I had long relations with my mother.
The name of the company that your father
Dallas Cap and Emblem Manufacturing Company. And the machine had a emblem on it, and it was stroked by hand and onto the machine. And then, of course, it became obsolete when the digitizing came in. So they had to go into another business, which my husband and son now runs. I have 5 children. I'm blessed with beautiful children that take really good care of me. And my husband passed away 9 years ago. And I'm so proud of my children. They're just amazing, and they're very successful, and their talents are unbelievable. They really are.
I'm going to go back a little bit, and then we're going to go back to your children
Okay.
too. So it sounded to me as you were growing up here, you helped in the family business. So like you were, as you said, with that. What was life like living in Dallas? It sounded like you lived in the Jewish.
We lived in South Dallas on a street called Peabody. I don't remember the address. And I went to John Henry Brown School, and I had to cross Forest Avenue, which my Sadie took me and picked me up every day. And there were so many Jews in our neighborhood. You know, I had a girlfriend across the street that was Jewish, and down the block, and we played together. Sunday school, Hebrew school. It was just everything that the Jews did at that time.
So the schools you went to, so that you mentioned that was the elementary school?
That was the elementary.
And then you went on to?
And then my father bought a home in Highland Park, and I and my sister went to Highland Park Junior High and Highland Park Senior High, and we graduated from there.
Okay. And when you were in school and high school, what kind of activities did you get to do?
Well, I loved tennis, and I loved gym. I played a lot of basketball, and I always tell my kids my boys that's where they got their athletic ability, was my basketball. But I had a wonderful high school. I had a lot of Jewish friends. We did a lot of BBG.
You did? Okay.
Yes, a lot of BBG. In fact, I was president of one of the BBGs.
Do you remember what chapter that was?
Reba Wadle.
Okay.
Yes, it was Reba Wadle. And we had they had a good time. And a lot of dances and a lot of parties, and it was a lot of fun.
Was the Jewish Community Center active then, or up in there? Where was BBYO being done?
It was in South Dallas. It was I don't know, maybe that's where the synagogue was. I don't remember. I really don't. Yeah.
I know sometimes there was a combination of that, or this might not have been developed yet.
Right.
With it. So after high school, what'd you do?
I went to Oklahoma University for a year, and then I came home and went to SMU for a year, and then I married.
So how'd you meet your husband?
I met my husband on a blind date. This is really cute. My cousin lived in Oak Cliff next door to his aunt.
And who's getting the credit for that? What was your cousin's name?
This was Marion Eisenberg.
Okay.
And she had made me a blind date. I was 16 years old. I had never had a blind date, and I didn't want to go. And my father said, "Little Marion called you. You have to go." He was 3 years older than me, and he came to the door. I'm little. He was 6 foot, very polite, and we hit it off. And he went to the Air Force. He went to Germany, and he was the gymnastic trainer. He was, what he did in Germany was he did the basketball tournaments, everything in the gym, played golf with all the colonels and generals, but he broke his leg playing football, and he came home, and I went to SMU, and that's how we became again. Yeah.
So, and when
Meant
did you
to
get?
be.
Yes, and when did you get married?
We got married in 1954. Actually, we got married at the Baker Hotel because they were building Sheriff Israel. And we had a beautiful wedding. And we lived in Waco for about a year. And then we moved back to Dallas, and my husband went into business with my father.
Okay. And when you moved back here, is that when you started having children, or were you working?
Actually, his aunt worked at the courthouse as a stenographer, and she got me a job, and I worked there. I wasn't as good as her, and I got pregnant, so I quit, and then I started my family.
Okay, so let's start naming. You can start naming your children for me.
The oldest one is Paul.
Okay.
And he is retired, and he was in real estate. Robert, he's a financial advisor with his wife, Franny. And Jeanette, she's a lawyer. Not a lawyer, but what is that? You can delete all that. But anyhow, she works with her husband, Larry, in his law office. And then there's Gary, who took over my husband's business. And then there's Vicky, who lives in Tampa, and she's amazing. She has a home for homeless children. And she's put over 300 children through college. And she's amazing. Amazing. So proud of her.
And that's your baby. Well, I also know Janelle's got her own business going.
She has a cosmetic line, yes, and she does very well. She works real hard.
Great products.
She really, so proud of my children.
Yeah.
They're very successful,
Yeah.
and they're just wonderful.
Now, how many grandchildren do you have?
I have 15 grandchildren and 23 great-grandchildren.
Wow.
One on the way that's due any minute, and twins coming. It'll be my third set of twins.
That is terrific.
I have a wonderful life.
Wow.
And I am blessed. I have to
Yes.
say I am blessed.
Yes.
Yes.
Going back a little bit, I know y'all have been, the family's been very supportive of so many things in the community. I know you were bragging about your own children, but you all have always been very big supporters. What would you want to mention? I know you mentioned Sheriff Israel's been very special to your family.
I worked at Israel Bonds, and I did the cotillion balls. And I worked at Sheriff Israel. I did the donor luncheon. And what other thing? I did the donor luncheon. I've done many things, but I can't remember.
I know you have, because probably when you were asked, you said yes, and you did.
Oh, I was president of Hadassah a couple of years. So I've been very active, but when I went to work, I had to quit all that. But I do miss it. But the people that I met and supportive have just been a blessing to me.
Is there anybody that you want to mention, names of friends, family, special people in your life that maybe we haven't said yet that you?
My best friend, I've lost so many friends during the years, but my best friend is Ann Smith, who I love, and Zona Pigeon, and I don't know, I just have so many friends, I really do, that mean so much to me.
I'm so blessed with. What would you say that you'd want to share, like values that maybe your parents gave to you that you've passed on to your children, or through your grandchildren, they feel that you want to share?
I think just being Jewish and the traditions and the holidays that we spend together. And the old people are still doing it. Like, I don't do it anymore, but it's got to be passed down from generation to generation, that they don't forget these holidays and bringing their families together. It means so much. It really does. At Sheriff Israel, I am still sitting in the seats that my parents had. I am with don't have my kids with me. I have Paul and Cheryl. The rest of them have gone to Ansha Torah, which is fine, as long as they go.
As long as they're going.
Right.
Well, I want to thank you so much
I hope
for sharing. And if there's, well, if we can take a moment to think there's anything else that you think you might want to share. I feel like you talked about the Jewish affiliations you had during childhood, and about your education and things you got to do, being active in BBG, and the opportunities you have, that working that you got to do. Is there, you talked about your husband.
I didn't talk enough about
Then
it.
let's see what else we could say about that.
My husband was a son that my father didn't have. They were so close. And they just were son and father. He loved him very much. My husband lost his father when he was 15. So his relationship with my dad was very meaningful to him. He was the sweetest man. Everybody loved him. He traveled a lot for the business, but he was a disciplinarian, but in a way that the children respected him and loved him. He went to military school because his parents had a liquor store and worked a lot, and she sent the boys to a College Station, where he learned disciplinarian. And he was just a wonderful person. We never had an argument. We always worked everything out. We discussed everything. He was my very best friend. We were married 65 years.
That's wonderful.
He was a blessing. I miss him.
Well, I want to thank you so much
for
sharing this
Thank you for asking me.
Thank you, and thank you. I was really, it really means a lot that you shared your story and your life with us. Thank you so much.